Get your Predator figures at Big Bad Toy Store at the link in the description.
Pokemon, Kaiju, Dragon Ball, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hey there, collectors, it's Steven here, and today I have a very special review for you to celebrate 100 Predator figures. Wow, at that point you have to realize that you have a problem, and maybe you should start focusing on other franchises. Like it, we have NECA's Alpha Predator from the Predator Hunting Grounds video game, or vice versa, they put it in the video game once NECA made the figure. I don't know, tomato here, but I will say we have an awesome figure here, and I am very happy to be presenting it to you today, because I normally don't get Predators, but I did want to get this one because yeah, it's pretty awesome, and I kind of just nullified the review. So is it worth it? Well, let's take a look to see whether or not it's worth adding to your collection. Yeah, I mean, it pretty much is. Okay, so it's good. It's worth adding, but what's the whole deal with the Predator here? Well, apparently they finally have given a name, or I've discovered it, not finally, to the original design of the Predator. For many of you who may not know this, apparently the original design of the Predator was not like we know and love it today. The mask for this Predator is based off of the Amengi, whatever. I speak English, but it's not my strong suit for my language. Anyway, that was the original design for the Predator, also known as the River Ghost, and NECA was constantly bombarded. Will you do a figure of this? Will you? Answer's always been no, but they finally managed to incorporate that design into an actual Predator. And this Alpha Predator is supposed to be the first quote-unquote Predator that we actually have, and it is the Alpha Predator. And to be honest with you here, folks, this one actually does look very good. And there are a couple of design beats that they've taken from that original design of the River Ghost, as it was known, at least at one point, here in the actual armor for the Predator. We can see it on the armor for the torso, a little bit on the legs. I would argue the weapons that we're going to see here in a little bit, yeah. Generally speaking, there is this overall OC donut steel design for that River Ghost that is included with the classic Predator design, and he's pretty big too. Taking a look at the head, however, I will fully disclose that the eyes on mine are not really all that great. They definitely could have been better, but you know, that is unfortunately going to happen when you have mass-produced figures, I suppose. But generally speaking, the paint application is pretty good. Remember that the target price for this one's going to be about $30 to $35, so we're not going to have pristine, perfectly masked paint applications everywhere, but the sort of purplish, pinkish, grayish body for the Predator looks very good. We have lots of bones here for the Predator. He's not a boneless Predator. The dreads look good. The armor that is on the Predator is going to be a mix of some different metallic colors. We do have a little bit of a red and a black base. Looks great. We actually have some fur on the back side of the Predator there. Looks great as well. Not actual looking fur, but hey, they did the best job that they could. The different bones that are incorporated to the Predator on the gauntlets, those actually look like they were well cleaned. Yeah, generally speaking, I do like the way that this Predator looks. And like I said, I'm not normally a fan of NECA's Predators, but this one, something about it, I just had to get it. And this is why. So interestingly enough, the Alpha Predator came out around the time where NECA did the switch over to the ball jointed hips, but we are not getting ball jointed hips here. We're getting the old style hips, but we do get something pretty neat. So overall articulation for the Alpha Pred, it's pretty good. Unfortunately, we got a lot of kibbles and bits here, which don't really help the articulation, but if you know how to pose your figures, you got a lot to work with here. So what do we have? Well, you know, typical ball joint for where the head plugs into the neck. So we get some good movement here, which I really do like. The dreadlocks do collide in back here with all of the fancy schmancy armor, but if you do move some stuff around, we get a little bit better range of movement, which is good to see. Plus, you want to make sure you are being careful there because of these spikes. You don't want to break them off. So, yay. All right, so swivel hinge for the shoulders there, which can raise up about that far. And thankfully, it doesn't seem like the shoulder armor is going to be too much of an issue here, which is a good thing. We don't have a dedicated true bicep swivel, but we do have double hinge elbows, which, as you can see here, bend up just ever so nicely. And that is going to be a perfect elbow bend. So good job, NECA. And we do have swivels where they plug into the bicep and the forearm. So even though we don't have a cut at the bicep for a swivel, we do get a bicep swivel. Kind of, sort of. I'm going to demonstrate over here. We do have for the wrists, swivels and hinges, kind of like we have had for the Predators here. We do have extra sets of hands, which are going to have the same sort of joint system there. And the reason why I didn't do that over here is because this piece of weaponry for the Predator is attached on a band that sort of goes over that wrist joint. So it can kind of be a little bit of a pain to mess around with the kibble over here to get that. And it kind of does hinder the articulation unless you pop it off. So something to keep in mind. This does slide on a rail system, so you can move it forward and back. And there are a couple of other attachment points here that you can add on, which we'll go over in the accessory section. You can see that there is a ball joint here, but realistically speaking, backwards, that's fine. Forward, not really. We can twist and turn from side to side and all the way around if you wanted to, but I don't remember the last time a Predator spun around, but you can do that if you want. Do we have anything at the waist? Yeah, we got a little bit going on there. Mine doesn't really want to move too much unless I'm forcing it, so that's where the bulk of your torso articulation is going to be at. Once again, do be careful when you're moving everything around on the body, because this is going to be soft plastic and you don't want to tear anything. So we get some decent ball joint movement there. So if you're looking to get the Predator to look up, we're going to be about that far with the torso articulation, and looking down, it's going to be about that far. So like I made mention about the hips earlier, we do have the old style NECA hips where there's going to be a plug in for the left and right hips. So if you kind of move one, you're going to unfortunately move the other just a little bit, and you can get one leg which is longer than the other. If you have that issue, just heat these up and just push accordingly until they line up. But what we have here, ratchets. And because of the kibble here, be careful that you are not breaking anything, but it's soft plastic, so it shouldn't be that big of an issue. But yeah, we get ratchet hinges there. So it seems like I'm really pushing it out to here for how far we're going to get the splits. And let's count. We get 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 clicks before we got something, before we get to stop. Dedicated thigh swivels, which is good. Double hinge knees. We don't get anything where it plugs into the shin calf area, but it does look like we do get swivels where the knee plugs into the thigh, which is good. For ankles, we are going to get ball joints, which has fantastic movement associated with them. And that's going to be about it, realistically speaking. Yeah, the Alpha Bred here, pretty good articulation. I'm impressed with it. I know I just kind of gave it a good rundown, but if you do fiddle around with this, you can get him into some fun poses. Let's try to get him in sort of like a war cry pose here. And yeah, you get some fun stuff there. So some sort of spread legs, twist this around. Not super fancy, but you know, if you wanted to get him in a basic pose, can he do like a superhero landing? Kind of, sort of. Let's see how well you can do that. Kinda. So yeah, articulation, it works for this Predator. Accessories time, and what do we get here with our favorite little Alpha Predator here? Well, we actually do get quite a few cool things here. We are going to get a nice array of hand parts, which is always good to see. We do need hand parts. We are going to get the shuriken that the Predator uses. We are going to get a sickle, a scythe, a meat hook of some kind. We are going to get a combi spear of some sort. I mean, it's the first Predator, so hey, you know, gotta make do. We are going to get 2 extra spikes. Ooh, what could those be for? And we are going to get a mask, a biomask. This is going to be the first one. Something I do want to make note of, though, for the hands for the Predator, NECA, please get it together. The hands are different colors. That's not white balance being thrown off here. That's not a filter. That's just different colored hands. Let's take a look at the mask first because the mask does look very cool. Again, this whole design is based off of the original Predator concept, the River Ghost, and it does look good, but maybe this is one of the reasons why NECA doesn't do clip-on masks. The whole idea here is if you take a real close look at the Predator's dome, there are two small divots, and on the mask there are two little hooks. Those hooks are meant to go in the divots. I get it on the second try here on the recording, but it's a pain to get this mask to stay on, and it's a pain to get it on in the first couple tries. Of course, because I'm recording it, I'm not going to be able to demonstrate it, but yeah, that is it's a pain. So once you get it on, leave it on for a while, take it off. Now, the Predator does also come with the combi stick, the spear. Yeah, cool. So this one, we're going to talk about the hand issue in a second. It is very nice, has tons of fantastic details here for the Predator, which I love. How they were able to get the bones and the general feeling that this would be a somewhat effective weapon for a Predator to use because, hey, sometimes we make weapons that are not very effective. Likewise, we do get that sort of scythe sickle thing that the Predator has, which is pretty cool as well. It's a nice hook, something to be used at close range, and actually, there is a little loop on the Predator's belt where you can just fish this through and he can hold it. Pretty neat. Predator is also going to come with a shuriken as well. This way he can throw it. Pretty difficult to get him to hold it in the hands that are provided, which is something I do want to talk about. So the Predator does come with fists, splayed hands, and left and right weapon holding hands. Very, very cool. Now, issue here. What is that? His left weapon holding hand, the fingers are glued together. So there is a nice little hole where you can slide the hook in. Not a problem, but the spear, nope. So you are going to have to break the fingers off of the thumb in order to get the spear in the left hand. Why? Don't know, but that's what they did. Now, you did note that there were two extra spikes that were shown, right? Well, on the left gauntlet and the right gauntlet for the Predator, there are two holes that you can use to put these spikes in. Pretty cool, right? Well, for the right one, there is that rail system that slides up and down. And on the tusks there for the skull, let's assume, there is a little hole in between them which you can stick one of these little spikes in. Pretty cool. What's also pretty cool is that this skull or bone, whatever it may be, can actually be removed because it's attached on ball joints and you can get one little stinger here. That's pretty cool. I do like that. Nice touch there. Now for the left wrist, that sort of gauntlet attachment, that the way it's attached in the box sort of looks like an extra claw attachment there for the Predator. If you do pop the hand off, that gauntlet will come off with it because that attaches by a little band around the wrist. You can actually flip that around to reveal a little spinal column, I guess, and that has a hole in it, and you can attach one of the spikes there as well to give the Predator a little extra oomph to his attacks. Whew. Okay, so that was a lot to throw in there. Now, there's one more thing accessory-wise this Predator comes with. For the first production run for North America, this Predator actually came with a code for the video game Predator Hunting Grounds, so this way you can unlock the Alpha Predator in the game. If you got this on a reissue for North America, I think specifically the United States, or anywhere else in the world from the first production run on, so only the first production run in the US, only first production run in the US, you were able to get that code. Otherwise, you were not able to get it. So that's definitely something to keep in mind and something to hunt down. So if you do have one with the code, which it will say so on the box whether or not you get it, hey, that might be something worth holding on to if you're into those sorts of things for investments. But otherwise, yeah. So for the actual physical accessories that all the releases are going to come with, generally speaking, aside from maybe coming up with sort of a proto-plasma caster or shoulder cannon, whatever they technically are going to call it, I've been reviewing so many things lately, I can't think of it off the top of my head. If you can think of anything else this Predator could come with, drop it in the comments, because I'm kind of drawing a blank. NECA covered all their bases with this one. So let's go ahead and move on over to a size comparison, where here I do want to just sort of give a little bit of a preemptive apology. I only have 2 other NECA Predators, which I've lost, and those are going to be from the different convention exclusive DC versus Dark Horse sets. I don't know where they're at, but I can say that I have had a few different Predators over the course of my collecting history, so to speak, and this is one big Predator. Yeah, he's going to tower over your other ones. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. If you're a Predator fan, this is kind of a no-brainer, definitely worth the purchase. If you're not really a Predator fan, but you've kind of been eyeballing NECA's Predators and you're like, hey, I kind of want to see what these are about, this is going to be an exception to the rule. So this will be a good sort of foot in the door, toe in the water experience for their Predators, because this one is really good. I won't quite say this is anywhere near figure of the year material, but I do really like it. It articulates pretty well. It has plenty of accessories. Unfortunately, the fingers need to be split open in order to really use it. But otherwise, yep, I really do like this Predator. Generally speaking, I think this might be the only NECA Predator I'll get moving forward. But yeah, I like it a lot. Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now you've heard a lot from me, I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.